So this video is going to be on factoring out the greatest common factor, or the GCF. And for the first three, we're just going to kind of practice what GCF means. And it's what can you take out of all of them that's common, so what's the same. And for example, in this first one, you're going to see that you have 15, 45, and 60. Well, the most common factor that they have, or the greatest common factor, would be 15 for all of them. So 15 is the greatest number that you can take out of all of them. Or 15 is a factor of 15, 45 is 15, and 60 is 15. Now with this one, you're only going to be able to take out a 2, because that's the greatest common factor, so it'd be 2, and then you notice that this one has 2 x's, this one has 3, and this one has 1. So the most you can take out of all of them, so that you can actually take an x out, or take 1. So the only one that you'd be able to take out is 1x, because this one has 1. So once I take that, it has none. This one would now have 2, and this one would have 1 if I would take 1 out. And so I can't take out any more. So that would be my final answer, which would be 2x. Now the GCF here is that I have 3 A's here, 5, and 6. So the most that I can take out of all of them is a to the third power. With this one, I have 2, 1, and 2. So the most that I can take out is b. So that would be my greatest common factor. Now, when you factor out the GCF, you have to make sure your equation is or your polynomial is in standard form. And you have to make sure that if your polynomial starts off with a negative, that you have to make sure you factor that GCF out. So in this case, my polynomial is in standard form, and I don't have a negative number starting. So I need to ask myself, what would be the greatest factor I can take out of both these numbers? Well, in this case, the greatest common factor is going to be 12. So for me to factor, that's my GCF. So I have to ask myself, 12 times what is going to give me 12t squared? Well, that would be 1t squared, or just t squared. 12 times what is going to give me negative 60, and that's going to be negative 5, because 12 times negative 5 is negative 60. So I'd rewrite it as 12 is my GCF on the outside, so I did factor it, is t squared minus 5. That would be my final answer. In this one, I'm going to first ask myself, I have to make sure it's in standard form. So this is in standard form because it's degree of 4, degree of 3. So I'm good for right now. And this doesn't start with a negative, so I don't have to factor out a negative or anything like that. So I want to see, I have 4 and 24. Well, the greatest common factor, so factors are like what times what. When you multiply, gets you that number. So the greatest common factor I would take out would be 4 first. So I'm going to look at the numbers first. So 4 times what gives me 4x squared, that'd be, or x to the fourth, would be 4x to the fourth. 4 times what gives me 24x to the third, and that would be plus 6x to the third. Now I also can factor out x's. So I have 4 here and 3 here. So the most I can take out of both of them is 3 x's. So if I have 4 x's and I take away 3, I'm going to be just left with x. And if I have 3 x's here and I take away 3, I'd have none. So I would just be plus 6. So my GCF that I factored out is 4x to the third times x plus 6. So that's what I have left over. Now you could check this and you could say, well, 4 times x to the third times x would be 4x to the fourth, and 4x to the third times 6 would give us 24x to the third, so I did it right. My second one, I want to see if it's in standard form. So I have 3 is my degree here, and 3 is my degree here, so it is in standard form. But I notice that I have this negative value on the outside, and I have to get rid of that. So I want to see, okay, I have negative 8 and a negative 6. What's my greatest common factor here? And that would be a negative 2, because I want to try to make this first term positive now. So negative 2 times what is going to give me negative 8, and that would be 4a squared times b. And then I have negative 2 times what gives me negative 6, and that would be a plus 3ab squared. Well, I know I'm not done because I can still factor out a's, and I want to see how many. I have 2 here and 1 here, so the most I can factor out is 1a. So I'd be left with, I have 2 a's, I take away 1, I'd have 1a left, so it'd be 4ab, plus I have 1, I take 1 away, so it'd be 3b squared. I also can actually take out a b, and I have 1 here and 2 here, so the most I can take out is 1b, so I'd be left with 4a plus 3b. So my greatest common factor is 2ab times 4a plus 3b. And that would be my final answer. Now I have 6x to the third minus 9x squared plus 12x. So the greatest common factor here is 3. So 3 times what gives me 6, and that's 2x to the third. And then I have 3 times what gives me negative 9, and then be negative 3x squared. 3 times what gives me 12x would be plus 4x. I also know that I can take out 1x because the most I have 3 here, 2 here, and 1. So the most I can take out is x. So it'd be 2x squared because I have 3. I take 1 away. I'd have 2 left. Minus 3x. I have 2. I take 1 away. I have 1 left. Plus 4. So my GCF is 3x, and it's multiplied by 2x squared minus 3x plus 4. And that would be my final answer. Now this one has a negative 5, and this is a degree of 4, a degree of 3, and a degree of 2, so it is in standard form. So I'm going to take out my GCF of negative 5 because that's the common number that I see between negative 5, negative 15, and 10. So this would be x to the third y plus 3x squared y, and then minus 2xy. I also can take out 1x, so it'd be x squared y plus 3xy minus 2y. I also can take out 1y, so it'd be x squared plus 3x minus 2. So my GCF is negative 5xy times x squared plus 3x minus 2. That would be my final answer.